Well, good morning and welcome to Zen Live and our metaphor for your toolbox. And just for you, some of you who are dropping in, basically we're on the Dharma trail of consciousness, or understanding how our mind works, but not from the outside like psychology, but from inside, to see how my mind works as it works, to catch my mind with its hand in the cookie jar, so to speak, flipping on the light of awareness and seeing my mind frozen, you see, caught in the act, you see. That's what we're doing here. And so to do that, we have to follow the trail of, we have to follow the spoor of truth, of Dharma. See, Dharma is a Sanskrit word for truth or teaching, and it's both objective and subjective, but we tend to look at everything in our society as objective. Science is an objective science. The scientist doesn't look at his own mind, he looks at your mind. He doesn't look at his body, he looks at your body. And he objectifies it, categorizes it, comes up with theories and laws. That's all very good. But it's not looking under the hood of your own car, you see. And that's what Dharma, that's the subjective Dharma, which is what I'm interested in. Not the objective Dharma of humanity and all that, no. I want to know the subjective Dharma. I want to know the Dharma, or my truth, as lived truth from within, not dead truth, which is objective. In other words, if you want to study a butterfly, there's the objective study where you, or a frog, and you go to a high school lab and you dissect the frog. That's objective analysis of the frog as something. Figure out what makes that thing work. But the subjective knowledge of the frog would be metaphorical. But anyway, I may be getting off track. So let's get to Tolle. I have to check myself here. All right, the quote for today that we're going to use to kick off our talk, and the title of the talk is the Awakening is the Eclipse of the Sun. So here's the quote. The moment you become aware of the ego in yourself, there again, that's subjective, that emerging awareness is who you are beyond the ego, the deeper I. The recognition of the false is already the arising of the real. Now this is almost like a Zen koan, or it's paradoxical, because is the ego something that you would become aware of, like I'm aware of that table over there? But then he says the recognition or the seeing of the false is already the arising of the real. So it seems to be he's saying that the false of the ego and the real are the same thing. So let's take a look at this from using the metaphor of the eclipse. Now I think I was just looking on the internet, and an eclipse is coming in 2017 on August 17th. And if you look at the map, I have it on my page where I kind of like write some ideas about this before I talk. And I think it goes, there's a little swath of the total of the eclipse of the sun, that runs through a little, it's like a paintbrush. It's like a Zen master took a calligraphy brush and took a swipe on the earth, and that would be the path where you could see the total eclipse of the sun. And this was a magical event in primitive, in man's ancient life. And it was also, remember in, I think, Mark Twain's Knights of the Round Table or something, if you could go back in time and you could predict the eclipse of the sun, and you could say, the sun is going to stop, wait for it, oh, he's joking, and then the eclipse comes, and everybody bows down. You know, right, okay? So this, if you've ever seen an eclipse, it's very mystical. It gets twilight in the middle of the day. The street lights come on. The birds stop singing. They think it's night. And it's like a suspension. And then the sun comes back. Ah. So let's take a look at the sun and the moon as a metaphorical way of understanding awakening. And what Tolle's talking about here, when he says here, the recognition of the false is already the arising of the real. The moment you become aware of the ego is an eclipse, metaphorically speaking. Duality is suspended. So you have this duality of the moon and the sun, or night and day. Oh, Cole Porter, night and day, you are the one. Well, night and day, you are the one means that night is day and day is one. No, and they're both together. That's an eclipse. The one that transcends the two is the eclipse, where both are one, yet they're still two, yet there is a one that transcends the two. That one that transcends the two is seeing, knowing. Seeing transcends the false and the real, the night and the day. So let's dig into this. You can't really go here with language, because language, we think in terms of nouns and things doing things to other things, you see. You can't see a verb. A verb is what a noun does to another noun. So that's the way we think. And we have to live with that, even for me to communicate to you. I'm communicating with language. And you define your world, the world you live in, through your language, thinking. Thinking is language. You don't think in Chinese, unless you're Chinese. You think in English. If you're English. So we think in the language we are inherit, you see. And our language is structured on nouns doing things to nouns. And that's the way we see the world. Materialism is a worldview that reduces everything to nouns doing things to nouns. And of course, in our Darwinian evolutionary system of thinking is that the biggest noun survives. The big noun eats little nouns. Anyway, that's getting off track here. So let's get back to this eclipse. Another thing I use is let me get this chair out of the way. Another metaphor that I use to explain what I'm struggling to understand is the Ouroboros, which is the dragon that eats its own tail. Here. Now, looking at the world mythologically, cosmologically, like the ancients did, it looks like the sun is devouring or chasing the moon. Here the moon comes up, and pretty soon the day comes up and it eats the moon. So these are, this is kind of like a yin-yang that's revolving. The sun chases the moon. And so this is the seasons, and it's going around eternally. And this is the Ouroboros is the symbol of consciousness chasing itself. And consciousness chasing itself is the seer chasing the seen, or the knower chasing the known. To try and do what? In other words, if you notice our mind, it can't sit still. The thinking mind is always chasing something. The thinking mind is called a monkey mind. It's always flitting here, there, trying to do what? Trying to stop moving. Trying to sit still. But it can't. It's restless. Our whole culture is restless. Our whole culture is chasing something. Chasing something in time. Our whole consumer culture is chasing the end of chasing. The whole culture is chasing the eclipse. The whole culture is chasing the moment when the sun and the moon are one. When the sun stops chasing the moon. You see, you get this little sense here that, and we're always believing that if I get that new car, I will be able, that will be the eclipse of desiring something new. The end of desiring, the end of chasing, the end of becoming, the end of trying to be bigger than I am, the end of trying to be unique, the end of trying to be special, the end of trying to be liked, the end of seeking love. The eclipse, you see, would be that moment of induced, of twilight that is neither light nor day. That is the one, you see. But in cosmology, in real life, the eclipse only lasts for a few minutes, I don't know what the time is, you see. So it's kind of like a flashbulb going off that reveals everything, and then the duality comes back. And then the sun is chasing the moon again. Around and around it goes, you see. The dog chasing the cat, you see. The sun chasing the moon. And then it takes, and then finally, a couple of years, it catches the moon. So the sun and the moon, this is the mythology of the, there's a Hindu mythology where God or goddess turns herself into a deer, and God turns himself into a stag and chases her, and then she turns into some other female, and then God turns himself into the male and chases her, you see. So the sun chasing the moon. And also the reference in mythology is that the moon is the goddess and the sun is the god. Light and day. Night and day. Day and one. You are the one. But you see, the paradox here is that the Cole Porter song says, you are the one. Who is this you? Is the you the night? Now, if I were the sun, the you that I want to chase and become one with is the night. If I'm the night, the one that I want to chase and become one with, to end the chasing, is the day. So is the one either night or day? Is the one you? Am I day and you are night and I want you and you are the one, you see? Is that what we're talking about here? Is the one something? Is the one a noun? Is the one something you can observe or experience, you see? If we think it is, if we believe it is, if the one is something, and then I will end the pain of longing and yearning for the one. Like this song with Cole Porter. We watched this movie with Cary Grant last couple of weeks ago, and this thing has been going off in my head like a time release capsule. Night and day, you are the one. Under the moon, beneath the sun, I think of you night and day. You see, oh God, it just goes off and off, you see. So this desire for stability, this desire to be the one that has no second means stable. To be the one that has no second means the end of looking for the one. It means the end of exile. It means the end of being exiled from the Garden of Eden. See, the Garden of Eden was the one. There was no division in the Garden of Eden. And then division came in, night and day, right or wrong, bit the apple, apple cut in half, two halves of the apple, right or wrong, either or, false, real, getting back to Tolle, false and real, you see, that's the same. Night is false, sun is real, or day is real, because you can see everything. Night is unreal. You know, the whole duality here. Searching, trying to make one half the apple, the one whole apple. See, so the Adam and Eve myth is very, to me, it's metaphorical. It's not about anything. It's not about history or the first parents and all that stuff. I mean, that's fine if that's where you want to stop with it. But it's really like the introduction into consciousness that was unity, like an infant's consciousness, the duality of me and it, I and it, you see. I'm a noun, you're a noun, I and it, you need. So now I want to restore the unity, the one, the lost unity, by consuming you, making you mine. So this whole romantic thing basically is to end the yearning for one by possessing the other. Of course, each wants to possess the other in a romantic relationship. And so there is an eclipse then. Lovemaking would be an eclipse. Whoa! You see? And then, of course, the orgasm doesn't last that long. The eclipse doesn't last that long. So we want to keep doing it over and over again. See? And how long can you keep the eclipse going? Oh, well. Then we have a lot of jokes. Well, my eclipse is only 5 minutes. 2 seconds. Your mind's all day. And the whole song here, the night and day, I want to making love to you. I forgot the end of it. But it comes, to the idea is making love to you all the time. having an eclipse, permanent eclipse. That's awakening. That's enlightenment. Enlightenment is the awakening of the seer as a permanent state, instead of just flashbulb eclipses going off, you see, which is kind of like where I'm at following the Dharma trail. Whenever you pick up a clue to Dharma, it's an eclipse. It's an insight. An eclipse is an insight. I see the whole thing. I see. And then the duality comes back in. And man, I got to recreate that. I got to do more meditation. I got to do some more yoga to bring back that eclipse, you see. So this Ouroboros of the sun chasing the moon, the noun chasing the noun, the day chasing the night, in order to become one, you see, creates time. Time. Because, just like now, the next eclipse of the sun is August 17th. And if you want to see it, you got to go get in the path and get ready and wait. It's coming. It's coming. Wait for it. Wait for it. Everybody waits. Is it coming? No. You think it? Oh, it's coming. And a hush settles over. There it is. And there's a suspension of the duality and the chase of the sun chasing the moon. So, suspension. Okay, so the idea here is suspension of the duality of the Ouroboros. I love this little thing. When I drew this, do you notice that that makes an ohm here? You see? This here fixes the Ouroboros. Here we have sun and moon. Got that? Sun and moon chasing each other. They can't stop until you fix it. That's the eclipse. The eclipse, or the suspension, stops the Ouroboros from eating itself, from chasing itself, from consuming itself. You see, when the mind is split into I and it, and these two rise together. It's called the horn of dilemma. I and it. Okay, when duality of the mind rises, consciousness, ego, consciousness, nothing wrong with this. We need it to catch a bus and cut the apple, make a computer. When the I-it duality of me and it, you see, they both rise together, but the lost unity here, you see here, right there, this is the unity. I and it are really one, but it's experienced as two. So we experience the world as two, yet we are originally and always and already one. So the unity is there, but we can't see it. So, but we have to have it, we have to find it, because this is pain. Time is suffering. My mother, when she was 100, we were talking about happiness, and she said, you know why I'm so happy? And I said, why, Mom? And she said, because I have no future. And there was a big pause. When I was younger, I had a future, and I wasn't so happy. Very profound. When you have no time, you're happy, but you don't know you're happy, in the sense that, oh, I'm really happy now. So time, as soon as time comes in, when time comes in, I and it come in. And now, the one is in time. I've got to get to it. I've got to possess that it. So advertising comes along and says, the one is this new car. Your car is crap. Look at all those people with the new car. They're so happy. They have the one. So the yearning for the one is aroused, and advertising sticks a car in there. And the eclipse is joyous. The eclipse happens for a while. You ride around in the new car, and everybody says, oh, you got a new car. But then the eclipse goes, and it's just your everyday car. Now where's the one? Oh, it's that house or that new washing machine. And on. The products are substituted for the one. And we chase the eclipse. And we get it for a little while. But what we're really getting is the cessation of time. When I desire that new car, and I work and I got to get it, or that relationship, or that boy, that girl, or whatever, that job, whatever the one is, you see, that I'm chasing, I chase it for the end of chasing, the end of yearning. And then when we get it, the pleasure is not in the car. The pleasure is in the cessation of the yearning for the car. The eclipse. But it doesn't last. It churns up again. So you can look at our modern consumer life as a constant chasing of the eclipse of the one, which is momentary, and then the sun starts chasing the moon again. And this is called Groundhog Day. It's just constant roller coaster ride of yearning for this, getting a moment of eclipse, and then starting another ride again. So it's the seeing of that. It's the noticing of the recycling of the I and the it of our consciousness. It's the noticing of that that begins to create the conditions for the eclipse to happen. The eclipse of awakening. So, the Ouroboros is stopped when we suspend the yearning for the one. Okay. The portal of awakening is found in the double bind, or the dilemma, the horns of dilemma. Horns of dilemma is lose, lose. Situations arrive, frequently or infrequently, but situations arise, conditions arise, in which you're in a lose-lose, either or, helpless or hopeless choice. Whatever you do, you lose. You can't find the one. Now, see, the one comes from a choice of the one. Now, I have a whole shelf full of martini glasses, and I really love, my uncle gave me 500 martini glasses. And I've kept out the ones I like, and I've been giving the others away. When somebody comes to the house that I resonate with and like, I say, oh, come on, let me show you something. I show them my uncle gave me these martini glasses. You can have one. Maybe it's a couple there. Oh, they're so excited. And I say, did you watch Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade? Yes. Well, one of these is the Holy Grail, so choose wisely. And they laugh, you see. But the point is that here you have choices, and only one is the one. You can't, all of them can't be the one. I just choose all of them. No, you have to choose one. So the one you choose is the one that stabilizes your mind in that particular, you must choose. You see, in other words, choice stabilizes the mind. You get that? Choice stabilizes the Ouroboros. So if I can't choose, I can't stabilize my mind. It's unfixed. It's threatened with psychosis. Psychosis is the state in which there is no fixed point to stabilize it. There's no choice. A metaphor for psychosis would be a whiteout. If you've ever been in a snowstorm, there comes a moment when everything is white. The horizon disappears. You don't see any trees. There's nothing to orientate yourself. There's a panic. You come out of a dream, and you're in this intermediate place in the dream where the dream is really real, and the waking state is equally real, and you're in the middle, and you don't know which one is real. So there's a temporary feeling of disorientation. Or you're in a woods, and you can't see the sun. It's just trees, and you have a compass, and you follow the compass. But then suddenly you realize that the compass is following a piece of iron in your shirt, or the compass breaks, or you lose confidence in the compass. There's a panic. Or astronauts, spaceships, there's something called a gimlet lock, I don't know what it is, but there's something in their navigational system that is fixed. In other words, you can't navigate unless you got a fixed point. If there's no fixed point, it's in like a state of psychosis. It's panic, you see. So we have to have a fixed point. So the point I'm making here in our conclusion is that with the martini glasses, the woman will usually stabilize her mind by choosing one. Oh, this is a one I like. And that she's happy because she stabilized her mind with the choice. I pick that. The man, invariably, and his wife, seeing his perplexity, his inability to choose and stabilize himself, well, here, honey, this is a nice one. And he'll grab, oh, that's perfect. Whew, I'm stabilized, you see? So choice, stabilize, but what happens when you can't make a choice? What happens if, and this is a Zen koan, so the Zen koan is, if you say this is a cup, you're wrong. If you say it isn't a cup, you're wrong. Lose-lose. Now, which is it? You have to choose or I'll punish you. Whoa. Whoa, you see. Lose-lose. So when this situation arises, the eclipse of awakening or insight happens when you suspend the need to win, when you suspend the need to choose, and you're okay not choosing, you're okay not having the one, you're okay not being stable, you're okay in the suspension of choice. And it is in that moment, if you really suspend the need to know or to choose and stabilize your mind, if you can rest in the instability of the mind, that is the eclipse and the awakening of seeing. So seeing is not seeing something. Seeing is not choosing something to stabilize the mind. Seeing becomes aware of itself as seeing. And seeing then is not something but who you are. I see. I see, you see. Not something, I don't choose something. Seeing is stable. Seeing in itself is stability because it is not resting on any choice. Seeing that does not rest on any choice of something to stabilize the mind is seeing itself. And that's our true nature. Awareness itself. Not awareness of something that I have to possess and to stabilize my mind, you see. That's time. I'm constantly trying to stabilize myself in time by getting something tomorrow that will stabilize me, you see. So seeing is always stable. Seeing is creative. Seeing is insight. Seeing is creative. Seeing creates the one. It doesn't choose it. It doesn't discover it. seeing creates the one. So night and day, you are the one. So Cole Porter created the one in this art, in this poem. You are the one is created out of night and day. It's not one or the other. And so the poet creates the one by suspension of having to choose the one. And then the one is created. Okay, thank you so much for dropping in. Heavy subject. Look forward to the eclipse.